Hi everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Maryse, and today we're going to talk about the books that I've read in the second half of December. Somehow I managed to read 7 books, so we might as well jump into it. And we're going to start with not one of the 7 books, but my DNF of these 2 weeks, because this tradition of me DNFing one book every 2 weeks, every half of the month is still continuing. And this one I really tried. So it's Melmoth by Sarah Perry, and this was my book club's pick for December. So I really tried. After about I think 30 pages, I already had this feeling that meh. But I continued. I continued for 100 pages, which is a little bit less than halfway through. Yeah, it's got about 270. So I got to almost 30% of it. Anyway, it's about, what is it about? So it's about this Melmoth character who is a biblical figure. She's a woman that is doomed to walk across the world and see other people do bad things, to make bad decisions, to see other people suffer, stuff like that. And in this book we meet a woman who is from the UK but is living in Prague, and we don't know what, at least when I stopped, but 20 years prior to this book, the beginning of the story, she did something terrible, and so therefore she went to Prague to punish herself. And she doesn't have friends, she doesn't eat a lot of food, she doesn't try to enjoy herself in any way. And she does have one friend, and that friend finds information about this Melmoth character, and that's how she, and maybe him, I don't know, kind of dive into it and see all of the mystery and get kind of scared. That's what I believe this book is about. Anyway, it didn't work for me at all. I like the atmosphere, kind of. I like the idea of the premise of the book, but the writing I could not get along with at all. It is very richly written. There's a lot of complicated words, a lot of complicated sentences, it was trying to be very rich, and to me it didn't manage to do that. It felt way too complicated. It's like this dress that too many things have been added to make it super luxuriously, but instead of making luxurious, it's making it this very heavy thing that is not even really pretty. And there's even sentences that aren't sentences, that don't have verbs, and I just couldn't get along with it. There were words, so many words that I didn't understand. I'm okay with not understanding a word here and there. Usually I don't even notice, but this time there were whole paragraphs that I just didn't understand what was going on. And not in a mysterious, oh, what's going to happen kind of way, but in a, I don't get it. What does this mean kind of way? So yeah, no, I lost the battle against Melmoth. I'd love to hear though, if you've read it and if you liked it, what you liked about it, because I do think there is something there. It just really isn't for me. Another book that I'm afraid I did not like, but that I did continue reading, was the first volume of the Regatta series by Hidenori Hara. This was kind of a reread in the sense that I think 10 to 15 years ago I discovered this series because it was an online series, it was filmed. And it's about rowing. It's about a rowing club in Japan, and we have 2 rowers, and they kind of had a competition at one point, and one passed away. And this series goes set 1 year afterwards, and it's about the rower that lived, and it's about a girl, and it's about a rival kind of person for this rower. So when 10 to 15 years ago, I really liked it because it was about rowing, and that's my thing, and I kind of liked also the romance aspect of it, and etc. So I watched the series, and I got book 3, 4, and 5. I found those. So this was the first time I actually read the first volume, and I hated it. Oh, it was so bad. I hate it. So I think, I haven't done my research, but I think that now everything is in a volume, and that probably it came out in chapters. In a magazine or whatnot, because there were a lot of kind of mini retrospective. There were a lot of flashbacks. Flashbacks is the word. There were a lot of flashbacks. In every chapter there was a flashbacks, but the flashbacks are always towards the same moments. So you get this 10 times the same flashback to the same moment, and it makes it a very slow read. And I do I would have liked it to have a little bit more action. And the thing that I hated most of all was how rowing was depicted. The actual movements that they were trying to make, the actual positions, just did not match what it is. I think when you're trying to portray an actual thing, it has to fit. I mean, you can have artistical liberties, but the basis has to be right. And the way they talked about the way they trained, also, that is not the way people train. You don't go training in the evening to become stronger because it's very important that your body rests. It's a sport that is about strength, so you have specific training. You can't just do extra things. That doesn't work. It makes you become, you're always at a level where you're just not exhausted. So people don't do that. And the way they talked about technical aspects as well of the different phases of the rowing stroke, that just doesn't work as either in the way it's depicted, and it made me so frustrated. And I know in the next volumes, which I'm not going to read, I'm not interested in this anymore, they think that you can get into some kind of zone and then you go super fast because you're not fighting the water anymore. It's so bullcrap, and I think it would have worked if it was added to the actual, I mean, if you take rowing as a basis, but then you add something that makes it, that elevates it, that is about this artistic liberty, yes. But the basis needs to be correct. And it just wasn't, and it pisses me off. Let's continue to happier things. The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen, the fairy tale. It's just 1 hour. I audiobooked it, and it's very short. It's a kid's fairy tale, and it's about two friends, and one kind of gets lured away by the snow. The other friend, she kind of goes on a mission to save him, and she travels through the lands to find him. I didn't really like it as well. I was expecting it to have more of a enchanting kind of feeling, to be transported to another world, and instead I didn't really understand the world as it was. It felt a bit fragmented, but I think that is because nowadays I have this image that fairy tales for kids they have this Disney quality of fluffy and light and happy, and that is not what the fairy tales as told by Hans Christian Andersen, and I think also Charles Perrault, were. I mean, I know that the Little Mermaid fairy tale, her legs get chopped off, so that it's not the happy thing, and I think I was expecting that, and that colored my experience. Then we have a book that I got from the library, and that is Het Winterpaleis by John Boyne, and it is translated from English, and in English the title is The House of Special Purpose. So before we talk about the book, we need to talk about John Boyne himself, because he has progressed to the level of problematic authors. So John Boyne is an Irish author, and he recently wrote a book about transgender people, and the book is called My Brother's Name is Jessica, or something like that. And there has been a lot of backlash from the transgender community about the way he misgendered one of his main characters throughout all the book. If Jessica decides she's called Jessica and tells her family that, then she's not brother Jessica, she's sister Jessica. And on the back as well, she's always referred to as him and stuff like that. Again, if it's about a topic like that, you need to do your research and find out what is important to that community and portray that correctly. And it's even more complicated, kind of, because John Boyne himself is also a member of the LGBTQ community, but yeah, the way he's dealing on this specific topic of transgender people is just, it's not okay, and his reactions haven't been super either. So I was very conflicted about picking up this book. I really thought about it for a long time. It was on my TBR for a while, and this book is written before that, and it's not about that topic at all. This book is about the Russian Revolution, mainly. So I didn't really know what to do, but I decided to read this because I don't want, when someone has an opinion that I find harmful about topic A, I don't think we should shut them out about topic B, and maybe also use topic B to talk about topic A. So yeah, that's why I ended up reading this. So like I said, this is about the Russian Revolution, and we meet Grigory Yakhmenev. And there are two timelines, one in which he is a teenage boy, and because he did a heroic deed, he is brought to the Russian palace, and he is meant to be a bodyguard to the heir of the Tsar throne, the Tsarevy. And the second storyline is when he's an 80-year-old man and his wife is terminally ill, and he goes back through time talking about parts in their life together. I liked it. It was an enjoyable read. It was interesting to see the Russian Revolution like from the point of view of the Tsars, and to see, because it's about the children of the Tsar as well, that they saw their father as their father also. The thing that bothered me most maybe is the twist. The twist is so bad. You see it coming from page 50, and then it's revealed at 30 pages from the end, and you're like, yeah, but we knew this, right? I mean, this isn't a surprise. It was enjoyable. I liked it. I like the atmosphere. It is the book that you read and you are completely in that world again. You escape, so that was nice. I also read two books that were kind of about the same topic, namely that of witches, and one was Moi, Tituba, sorciere by Maryse Condé, and the other is Conjure Women by Afia Atakora. I'm going to start with Moi, Tituba, sorciere. So I finally got to read a book by Maryse Condé. I've been wanting to do that for nearly half of the year. So this one is about Tituba, and she is born in the Bahamas, and she falls in love with a man and follows this man. He is a slave. So because of her love for him, she's enslaved herself as well. And throughout a journey, she comes to Salem, and she is actually the first woman that was officially accused of being a witch in Salem, and she's sent to prison for that. Now the thing is, this actually happened, but she's not killed, just like some of the other witches of Salem. But the history kind of stops there for her. We don't know what happened to her afterwards. We know she goes back to the Bahamas. And what Maryse Condé did is that she did invent a future for her. So we've got the story before, how she gets to come to Salem and how she is accused of being a witch, etc. But we also get the story afterwards. She's given a life afterwards. She's the first woman, a black woman, that got accused of being a witch, and it's bizarre how she's then just forgotten. I like this. I thought it was entertaining. It was interesting. I liked that she got a voice. The writing is a little bit chic. It's a little bit old French, but maybe it made sense because this is set in the 17th century, so I think that was why this decision was made, to have this a little bit older French. It's just not really a thing I like. I thought it was entertaining. I think my expectations were a little bit too high, but yeah, entertaining book. And so for the other book about being a witch, so that was Conjure Women by Afia Atakora, and I listened to this on audio. And again, we have two timelines. But this is set in the south of America, and we meet a woman, and one of the timelines is during slavery time, and that's also how it's called in the book. And it's about her being raised by her mother, and she is the doctor, we could say, of the plantation. And mostly women come to her to find remedies for any sort of things. And she is raised by her mother, and at the same time she's also friends. She thinks they're friends with the daughter of the plantation owner. And the second storyline is somewhat later, when she is person that is in charge of healing everybody. And there are a couple of things happening. There's a boy that is born that people think is bad. There's a sickness that kind of kills children. There is a man that is trying to get everybody to be very religious. There are a couple of things happening. So this book is about multiple things, and that is what I liked. How all of these topics, how it's really just about a life, and all of this is enshrouded in mystics and enshrouded in finding your role, and enshrouded in being respectful of your heritage. So yeah, I thought it was a very good book. I thought it was very well constructed. It was a little bit long. I think with audiobooks sometimes, because you don't hold the physical thing, you don't know what is going to happen, and that sometimes colors my listening to experience, because I think something is going to be the main plot, but then it isn't, because you're still only at 25% of the book, but you just don't know. And this is one of those books, it's not about one thing. So I was sometimes I didn't really know where my attention, what I was supposed to focus on. I think that's also one of the points, is that all of the things were interlinked. The writing also was very well done, and I do recommend the book. The other audiobook I listened to was Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, who is Japanese. So this book is about a cafe called Funiculo Funicula, and in this cafe there is a chair. When the people sit at this chair and do certain kind of things, they can go back into the past. But there are a lot of rules connected to the going back in the past. And in the book, we kind of meet a couple of people that end up doing that. We have got a woman that goes back because she wants to have the discussion with her boyfriend again about why he is going to leave her. We have a woman that wants to go back to talk to her husband, who now has Alzheimer's disease. We have a woman that wants to go back because she wants to talk to her sister that has passed away. So we have a couple of characters, and this is about fate. It's about, because one of the rules is that if you go back in time, the present does not change. So it's about what the worth of going back. It's about the worth of trying to change the past and how that influences your present, and how seeing a problem differently also changes what you think about something. I thought it was entertaining. It was nothing really special, and it was mainly interesting because of the topic and how people had then a different view on fate. But I didn't feel a big connection to the characters. Although you see them in these difficult moments, I didn't feel a connection to them. And I think that is also colored because I listened to this on audio, and when you then read about characters that have names that you're not used to, on audio somehow I don't register them. I register them even less than when I'm reading, and I think that also makes it difficult because I just forget who it's about. I can't name these characters, and I think that's a big part of connecting to someone. So yeah, I wonder how my reading experience would have been if I had physically read it. So if that's the case for you, I would love to hear if you managed to connect to these characters, because I know a lot of people love this book. Anyway, last but not least, we're going to talk about New Suns, original speculative fiction by people of color, which is edited by Nisi Shawl. I already briefly talked about this book in my retrospective video. So this is a short story collection by a big group of authors of color, and they all have very different stories, they all have very different worlds. There isn't a theme about these stories, so there is one I think that I just stopped reading because I wasn't interested at all, and some I was sucked in from the first sentence. There is one about belly fat that I found fascinating, super interesting, and it's about a woman. It's my favorite, so I'm going to talk about that one a little bit more. It's about a woman that loses her belly fat in the forest. And there's a bear, and she runs in the fall and screams, "Belly fat! Belly fat!" But there's a lot more than that. The topics are so diverse. So, and the thing that I loved about reading this book is that it made me aware of how one author manages to just suck you into the world, and the other takes a little bit longer. It was interesting because it made me think about why I am interested in one world and not into another. Does that have to do with the writing? Does that have to do with the world itself? So yeah, thinking about all that's fascinating, and I'm planning on picking up more anthologies like this in the future, because it was great to have this taste and think about your reading in that way. So that was New Suns. Those were the 7 books that I've read in the later part of December. As always, if you've read any of these, I'd love to talk about them, especially Melmoth, especially New Suns, especially The Winter Queen, and Funiculo Funicula, the Before the Coffee Gets Cold, but the other ones as well. And what are your thoughts about John Boyne? I'm conflicted about these problematic authors. Anyway, I'll talk to you in another video. I'll see you in another video. Thank you for watching. Bye.